Hey everybody, welcome to leg 5 of our DC-6 stream. Good to see you all here. Got Doc Magic, Scott, saw Nick pop in, Pilot Pat, Christian. Good to have you guys all here. Join us on the flight. So we're going from Bremen down to Leipzig today. Flight level of 130. It's just over 200 miles, and we won't be at cruise for too long. Weather's kind of iffy. It's raining in Leipzig right now, and looks like we're gonna have some clouds to deal with. So we can hop on board and start getting everything up, and then we'll take a look at our route for today. Alright, so it's not raining here yet, so we can get the window open. Somebody running their engines beside us there. It is windy. You can hear the wind, so start getting everyone on board. And while they do that, we'll take a look at a couple things. Hi Talia, good afternoon, welcome. So winds are 21, gusting 34 right now. It's very windy. I'll throw the Metar into the stream, or the chat. So, looks like we could get some light rain and mist, but you can hear that wind. 250, 21, gusting 43. So that means we're taking off on runway 27. So while everyone's loading in, we'll bring up the route for today. Yeah, and again over in Leipzig it's pretty bad as well, and some pretty dark clouds there. So here's the route. We're going to depart out of Bremen, heading west. We're going to head to the first VOR, which is the SAS VOR, or the Sarstedt VOR. From there we're going to be flying down past Brunswick over to the Magdeburg VOR, which is right here. And then from there we're going to head down towards the Leipzig VOR. And then we're going to take the ILS for runway 26 right in. And the current weather down Leipzig has it at 290 at 10 knots with light rain and fog. So it looks like we could have our first good IFR flight here on this trip. So it should be a pretty good route, pretty simple, just 3 VORs and the ILS. Jump outside, we can see who's around us. So we got Easy Prop Airlines over here. That is Scott. And we got a PMDG aircraft here, not sure who that is. And we've got our, so when we get ready to go, we're going to push back. They don't like engine starts on the stand for the pushback, so we'll push back. We're going to go tail to the, we'll probably push straight back, leave the other DC-6 room to push back as well, and then we'll taxi out and head down to the end of the runway and get ready to go. So everything is looking good. Controls are all set. We don't want to start the AFE because as soon as we do that, it closes the doors and cuts the boarding short. We don't have any passengers today, and it is a smaller airplane. So what we can do now is come down to our pad here. We'll go to our fuel load. Fuel for today's flight
On behalf of the cabin crew, I'd like to welcome you aboard our flight.
is
As you find the seat
6,807 pounds.
And smaller items underneath.
So we can make
If you
a
have trouble finding a location for any of your carry-on items, please use the
few
flight
adjustments
button
here.
over your seat. Somebody will assist you.
So we'll go
After you put
to
your carry-on items in the overhead bin and it is full, make sure you close it as a courtesy to
6,000
other passengers. Also be sure that the aisle is clear and sit down so that way other passengers can get by you.
and
If you are
13.
seated in an emergency exit row, please review the exit
We are going to be carrying
and the safety card provided for you. Please make sure that you are able and willing to perform these actions.
50
If you're
passengers
not,
today.
please let a flight attendant know so that way you can be received. You are free to use
And
your
those
portable
passengers
electronic
have
devices during the flight.
2,530
We ask
pounds
that larger
of cargo.
electronic devices are stowed once you depart from the gate. Thank you and welcome aboard.
2,538 pounds of cargo. So there's our passenger load and our fuel load for today's flight. Get the wheel chocks removed. We're going to close up the cabin door. That's the stairs. Coming in. Get the cabin door closed. There we go. Also close the cargo holds. Oh, Christian, you're to my left? Okay, cool. Yeah, if you could have more fidelity, Talia, and set up what you want for what, like if you want kilograms for weight, inches of mercury for baro, gallons for fuel, that would be nice. So we're just waiting on the final bit of boarding to take place, and then we can start getting ourselves set up. I think we'll turn the we'll have the cockpit lights on for this one because the weather, as you can see, well, it's not too bad. It's pretty dark. We're not flying at night. I have set the time for 10 a.m. for this flight, as we do with all the DC-6 flights. Just waiting for the final peoples to get up the ramp here. We can get ourselves up and running.
We're on your time now.
Current baro is 1008. So we'll set our baro 1008. That on both sides. There we go. And they can gain another notch on that. And we are good. So we can get those doors closed. So we'll get the stairs pulled. And get the main cabin exit closed. And Fred and
Our
Roger.
flight time will be roughly 53 minutes. Please note the cabin door is now closed. We ask that you make sure that all devices are in airplane mode and your larger devices are now shut down and stowed. If you have not already, please fasten your seatbelt.
The aircraft up and running.
Your safe able to use back must be in a full upright and locked position for departure. Cabin crew, prepare doors for departure, cross-check, verify straps, and stand by.
Completed. Voice recorder. Tasted. Oil coolers and cow flaps. Water in position. Fuel and fluids. Checked.
Yeah, I do my sim brief for this airplane. I have it output in pounds.
Manifold and duct pressure. Checked. Radios.
Alright, so our first frequency we're going to dial in here
Checked.
is the SAS VOR. That's 114.45. So there's 114.45. That's dialed in. The second VOR is the
Closed.
VOR Magdeburg,
Door warning
and that is
lights.
going to be 110.45. So that is now set.
Remove.
And over here on nav 2, we're going to input the ILS frequency.
Adjusted. Throttles.
And the ILS is
Set to idle.
10835.
Forward and
So
3.
10835, and that is now input in nav 2.
Start engines.
So that'll give us the heading to that. I'm also going to tune in the Leipzig, the middle marker. It has a frequency. It's a NDB frequency of 340. So we'll go in here and we'll dial in 340, and that'll let us use the ADF dial for the flight. And we'll flick that over. And there we go. Won't give us heading or anything, but it will point us to the middle marker towards the end of the runway. Yeah, I heard that. They were given clearance to take off and they were on a taxiway. It's weird. Alright. So I think we are now ready to do our pushback. And again, we're going to do a straight push. So we'll bring up the pushback. And we'll release the parking brake. And again, we're basically going to push all the way back. We will switch over to plane battery. And we'll give Christian room to move out. So we're not going to be in his way. Is that down at Leipzig? Well, SimBrief gave me 2.6 right, so I think I'm going to stick with that. Or we could change it. I don't know. Let me get pushed back here and then we'll take a look as we let the engines warm up. Alright, so we're just going to push back past the taxi line here. Slowing her down. There we go. Parking brake is set. And we are finished with the pushback tug.
Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à bord de cet avion
And we are ready to start.
de l'aviation royale canadienne. Au nom de l'équipage, je vous demande de
everything
porter
is
votre
set.
attention sur
Cranking
les agents de
number
bord
3.
pendant que nous examinons les procédures d'urgence. Il y a 9 sorties de secours sur cet avion, 5 à gauche et 4 à droite.
Oh, you had YouTube muted? Oh,
Prenez
yeah.
une minute pour localiser la sortie la plus proche
That'll
de
do
chez
it.
vous. Notez que la sortie la plus proche peut être derrière vous.
There we go. Can we get engine 3 up and running?
Écoutez les instructions du personnel de cabine. Les masques à oxygène tomberont du dessus de votre siège. Placez le masque sur votre bouche et votre nez, comme ceci.
Alright.
Tirez sur la sangle pour
Engine
la
3 is running. We're waiting for the
Dans le
switches
cas
to
plus
click
probable
over.
d'un atterrissage d'urgence et d'une évacuation,
There we
laissez
go.
vos bagages à main derrière vous. En cas d'amérissage, des gilets de sauvetage sont situés sur
Engine
vos sièges
4.
et un éclairage de secours emmènera à votre sortie et toboggans les plus proches. Nous vous
Mixture's
demandons de
auto
vous
rich,
assurer que tous
ignited
les
magnetos
bagages à
on
main sont
both,
rangés en toute
engine
sécurité
selector
pendant
4,
le
low
vol.
boost pump is on,
Fumer
and
est
cranking.
autorisé que lorsque le panneau d'interdiction de fumer est éteint.
3,
Pendant que nous attendons le décollage, veuillez prendre un moment pour
6,
examiner la carte de données de sécurité dans la poche du siège devant
5,
vous. Thank you and enjoy your flight.
12.
All right. It's engine 4 is up and running. We have fuel pressure, oil pressure, carb air, RPM, and manifold pressure readings are good. There go the switches. So we'll go up on engine number 2. Mags to both. Selector to engine 2. Boost pump to low. And cranking engine 2.
3, 6, 5,
And 12 blades.
12,
Starting engine 2. Engine 2 is up. Manifold pressure, RPM. We have fuel pressure, we have oil pressure. Get ready for engine number 1. Selectors over, mags on both, boost pumps on. And cranking engine number 1.
3, 6, 5, 12,
Boost and prime. And there we go. I'm just waiting for the final click off for switches here. And I'm just going to pull up the chart for 26 left down at Leipzig. We'll use that one, as Christian says the other one's under construction and is not in use at the moment. That's going to require a frequency change of 110.3 for the ILS. So 110.3. We'll dial that in now on the LS Air, and the ADF will be 375. So we'll flick that over. Or, 357. And there we go. 357 for that, and that's now clicked in. So we're good there. So let's do the after start check.
start selected, first bumps.
So we got somebody here waiting for us. Not sure who that is.
Switch. Plane entry. Generator.
If
Checking the button.
if that's somebody in the chat, let me know who this is.
Ground hour. Removed.
I'd like to know who's flying with us. And yeah, Scott, I'm looking forward to the Around the World. That'll be coming after the Pan Am Ford's flight one. Room shaking? Yeah, I got good headset on and it's going here too. Alright, so we are ready to go. Everything is set. So we are going to start taxiing out. We are going to taxi out. We're going to go down Charlie and then along Foxtrot to the end of the runway. Parking brake is out, And we are good to start taxi. Oh, Dr. Magic, that's you. Okay. Cool. Let's get her moving. And away we go. So the thunder briefings in the back, we heard them when we came back into the cockpit. The cabin crew was doing the French half of the announcement. Try to give it a little bit more power. Going too slowly along here. "10 knots is about what they would do in a taxi. Unfortunately, we don't have really a ground speed indicator unless we have the GPS on, which I don't use for this. Foxtrot. So once we come around here, we'll do our before takeoff checks. Get Fred to do the before takeoff.
First pumps. First pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carbide. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and quantity checked. Okay.
Christian, I've got a cruise altitude of 13,000 feet. Don't think we're going to be up there too long.
Flaps set to 20. Windows and turbine.
Alright, doors are windows locked.
Closed and on. Controls. Gust lock released. Free. Detonator. On.
Temperatures are coming up, pressures are good.
Reach unlocked. Set. Transponder. On. Landing lights. Extended and on. Before takeoff checks.
Now, Nick, it closes once you go above a certain speed. I take it as the flight engineer reaching across and closing the window. Alright, so here's the hold short line coming up. So just one or two last things I have to do. Quickly going to come over here and we're going to set our pressurization for 13,000 feet. Ooh. It's that silly thing again. There you go. You can see we're going to have a cabin altitude pressure of about 3,000 feet once we're up and going. And I am going to come over and turn on the cockpit lights to white. And I just want to check our load, so we are a dry takeoff for today. Alright. Parking brake is off. We're going to come out and take position. We got a King Air on the runway ahead of us. Now we're still here, Doc Magic. I can see you ahead of me. You were oh, you were good to go. Alright, so here we are. I'm going to set the brakes. Alright, Fred and Roger are ready to go, so dry takeoff.
30 inches stabilize. 30 inches stabilize.
Yeah, Talia, it's not the multiplayer itself, but it's the depiction of the aircraft and the tags that are flashing in and out. It's really annoying. Hopefully that's something that's addressed when they do the world update.
Stabilized.
And
flaps.
what's that, a week? 8 days from now?
Full power, please. Going full power.
Right, full power winding up.
Full power set.
Full power. Brakes are released. And away we go. Oh, airspeed's alive. Doc Magic just kind of buzzed in front of us there. 80 knots. Going to rotate at about 100 knots. There we go, 100 knots. Ease the nose off. And up we go.
Buzz rate, gear up. Gear selected up.
120 knots for the initial climb, up to about 1,000 feet.
Gear up, lights on.
We're up to about 500 feet, then we'll nose her down to about 135. And we'll start to bring the flaps up.
Flaps up. Flaps going up.
And at 1,000 feet, we'll start our turn. We're going to be heading at about 150 degrees. 1,000 feet.
Meter power. Setting meter power, 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
Heading 150. So there's a 172 heading into the airport the wrong way. Still hand flying.
Meter power set. Climb power. Setting climb power.
Yeah, we'll all pop back in soon. It is rather annoying. Get some climb going here.
Climb power set. And the takeoff checklist, please. After takeoff checks complete.
Alrighty. So we're gonna head 150 initially. Gonna get the climb rate going here. Far too shallow. Alright, so come down, we'll turn on the gyro pilot, turn on the clutch, and now we'll watch for our climb speed as she settles in. We want a little bit of nose down. We're not going to be climbing at that high climb rate. We're going to get the speed up to 165. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dial this around to about the 150. Come on. In around there. So when we do pick up that VOR, we'll be able to fly directly into it. Okay, let's get the nose down a little bit more. Sit you down. And we'll climb out. I'm seeing people around me. Take a look outside the second. That's 5,000 feet. A little bit more nose down. Alright, so there's Christian. I see Scott down on the runway by the looks of it. Don't see Doc Magic. But hopefully everyone pops back in shortly. Hi Yoke. Well, we just took off from Bremen. So the weather's iffy where we're headed. Over 165, good climb rate. It'll be interesting. Could be a nice ILS landing. But there's, I think we got, what's that, 3 DC-6s and a King Air flying on this leg. 6,000 feet. We're going up to 13. So 114.45. 114.45. So 137 is the actual heading we're going to want. So we're going to turn ourselves onto a 137 heading. Again, we'll use the gyro pilot to get us over there. We'll go into a slight turn. That should take us down towards that first VOR, and it should kick in shortly. There's 140 degrees coming up. And we'll kind of split the difference between the two ticks on the heading. And that's good there. So that's about 137 degrees. So we're heading down towards the VOR. Zoom in, we can kind of do the same thing here. So we're on 137 degree radial, and that should offset us slightly to the right of the radial, but when we go into localizer it'll take us over to it. 8,500 feet. And we can see the pressure is starting to work. It's not reading quite yet that we're that it's pressurizing in the back yet. That's fine. It will shortly. Speed is still good.
You're now passing through 10,000 feet. You can now turn on your larger portable electronic devices. As a reminder, please keep your seatbelt fastened while you're...
Yeah, the air time's just under an hour or so. It's only 3 legs on this flight. So you can hear the flight engineer flicking switches. A little freaky until you get used to it. There you go. You see the positive pressure going into the cabin, and you can see the cabin altitude starting to climb as we climb. So we're starting to pressurize now, and we're up above the cloud layer here, which is looking really nice. There's Doc Magic and his King Air. Then we're going to be flying over this layer. That's Christian, and then I don't know why Christian's showing as a 172. Or sorry, is that Christian? I don't know. I think so. And then we got Accordion Sneeze, which is Scott over there. The Caravan flight, we're going to be flying the Cessna Caravan, the C. Let me get back in where it's a little quieter. The C208, and doing some tours in it since it's a fun plane to fly as well. The first series we're doing starts Friday, same time, 1930 Zulu, and it is a tour of Tasmania. So that should be an interesting one there. And depending on the length of the legs, it may just be one leg, or if they're shorter legs, we may do 2. So do a land and reset, and then head off again. All right, so I'm not seeing you back there at the moment. I'm sure you are there, but it is what it is. So we're going up for 12,000. We're going to 13 since we are heading eastward. Yeah, Scott, Talia, by all means, it'll be fun. It'll be, like I said, 1 or 2 legs depending on the distance, and we're starting with Tasmania first, and then we're going to see where else we can fly. That's interesting and a good fit for the aircraft. So you can see we're now locked in on the beacon. We're 34 miles out, so I'm going to go over to localizer mode and let it take us there. We're also coming up to 500 feet from cruise altitude. So now while it's getting us onto the radial, we can start getting ourselves leveled off here at 13,000 feet. So I'm just easing down on our climb rate as we get closer. Yeah, tell you, it's a good description of it. So we want to be 200 to 300 feet per minute when we get there, and we turn on the altitude hold. There we go, 13,000 feet. So the aircraft will now accelerate as we lock in, and for some reason bounce around the sky. Christian, I think it's either here or it's not here. You don't like the Caravan? Ah, I like it. That's the first plane I flew in the sim when I joined the virtual airline. It was the first one I could fly with no hours, so I did a lot of flying of it around New Zealand. I don't know why the DC-6 won't hold its proper altitudes. Anyway, we're in cruise, so let's do the cruise checklist.
Set cruise power, please. Setting cruise power.
Looks like the cabin crew is now starting to go around with some beverages in the back.
In a few moments, we will be starting our in-flight service. We'll be serving complimentary drinks and snacks. Please look in your seat back for a list of complimentary drinks. Premium drinks are available for a small charge. If you wish to make an additional purchase, we only accept credit cards.
See the cowl flaps closing on the engines there as we go into cruise power mode.
Cruise checks are complete.
That's really cool that they do that. Well, it's a bit nostalgic, but it's also a nice airplane to go into smaller fields and do a little bit more rough stuff, maybe some dirt fields. We'll see. No, that's the one I want. There's the view out the other side. Seeing a lot of those views on the longer legs when we do the bigger trips. Alright, so we're 20 miles out. We're now kind of getting ourselves lined up on the radial. So we're going to be flying over Hanover. There's Dr. Magic ahead of us. What I should be, see the ice forming. So if we look down here, we're below 0 degrees. So we're going to come up, we're going to turn on our anti-ice to 0 to negative 40. We're also going to turn on our prop de-icer and our leading edge de-icers. You can see them all coming online now. And that'll help with the ice. That should start to melt. And if we come look out the window, you can see a little bit of ice here on the window, but we want to make sure we're not getting icing on the leading edges of the wings and on the props. So we've turned that on now since we are drifting through some little thin wafts of cloud here. And it does have an impact. If we get ice on the surfaces, our airspeed will start to drop. Everything is good. Fuel quantities are good, and you can hear the FOE's flicking switches here, specifically carb air, carb heat, trying to make sure that we don't get ice forming inside the carburetors, which will rob us of power as well. We're gonna be, looks like, skimming the tops of some of these clouds. So I've worked out that we have to start our descent 38 miles out from the Mag VOR, which is the next one we're going to tune to. So we'll have to watch that. So we're almost 10 miles out, so we're going to go back into gyro mode. Mag VOR 110.45, we'll switch that over. The next one is 115. There 115.85, so that's now set up. We're still on the ILS frequency of 110.3 on nav2, and we've got the NDB up in the ADF. So we're 77 miles out. We're going to want a heading of 100. So we can come into the OBS and we're going to dial in 100. About there. And when that gets all the way down, we will switch over to localizer mode again. And we'll be heading out towards the next VOR. And then when this reads 38, we're going to start our descent. So shorter leg today. And the weather's not too bad. Once we make the turn, we'll come in and check the weather at our destination. See, it's pointing off in the direction of the VOR, and we're almost dead centered over it. So we'll go back into localizer mode, and that should begin the turn. Keep us headlined on the radio. So Hildesheim is below us. It'll be south of us, off to the right. Salzgitter, we're going to pass by. Brunswick will be flying south of it. It'll be to our north as we head off towards Magdeburg. So, beautiful out there. Very nice cloud formations. Live weather. And we did crank the time back to 7 or 10 a.m. Not a long flight on this leg. Everything's running good. Nice and smooth. Have to worry too much about the icing anymore. So I'm going to leave the window heater on. I'm going to turn off the prop de-icer and the airfoil heaters, but I'm going to leave the cabin heat on. You can see the temperatures coming down. It doesn't look like we have any ice forming yet. We'll keep an eye on our airspeed, make sure it's not decreasing too much. We also have a bit of a tailwind, which is good. It's giving us a little extra push today. Looking good. So we're not going to head all the way out to the Leipzig VOR. We're actually going to end up aiming out to the Joga intersection, which is 12 miles out, kind of the initial approach fix when you're coming in. So we'll go slightly more to the east so that we can get ourselves nicely slowed down and on a more straight-in intercept for the ILS. Minimum safe altitude all the way around the airport is 2,700 feet. We'll be down at 3,000, so that is good for us. And our decision height is going to be 670 feet because the airport elevation is, let's see if I can find it, 470 feet. So we've got 38, 40, 58, about 16 miles to go before we start our descent. So after the next VOR, it wants us on a heading of 139. And we're going to go on a heading of 130. That'll put us off to the east, give us a good angle to come in on. You see Dr. Magic ahead of us. That's Scott behind. Well, looks like they're drifting in and out. So let's get an updated weather. And I'll throw it into the chat so everyone can see. So the weather at 30 minutes ago, 250 at 8 knots, light rain, scattered clouds down to 800 feet, 13 degrees, and QNH is 1012. So what we can do is come in and go 1012. Over and set up Rogers as well. Two. So it looks like we might be landing in rain. We've had the first 4 legs have been pretty good weather-wise, so they haven't been a major issue. And we have about 5 miles to our top of descent. And as per normal, the thing to worry about with this airplane is slowing it down. There are no speed brakes. You basically have to go lower power and use the level flight and let the atmosphere pull the speed back. And it is a slow process, which is why I add about 30 miles on from my calculations for top of descent, just to give us enough time to get down. So when we hit 38 miles, we're going to go down to 1,000 foot per minute descent. And every 1,000 feet down will cover 5 miles on the ground. And then at 10,000 feet, we'll run the descent checklist. And once we level off at 3,000, we will do the in range. So there we go, 38,000 feet, or 38 miles is passed. So we can start our downward descent. Slowly ease her forward until we get 1,000 feet per minute. We're gonna have to watch. Speed will increase. Now we have built in a little bit of a buffer, so we don't have to worry too much. And as the speed increases, the rate of descent will decrease. Yeah, 38 miles per meg, Scott. Looking good, nice cloud layering there. You can see the cabin is depressurizing as we go down. It's very nice to see this all working. It's 11,700 feet, 1,000 foot per minute. Speed is about 235, which is fine. And we are 29.5 miles out from the VOR. 10,000 feet at 5,000 feet per minute will take about 80 or 50 miles, and then I added 30 miles in for slowing down and making sure everything's all set up and we're ready to go. Plus the fact that we do speed up a little bit, and you're never exact on your 1,000 foot per minute descent. Wind turbines. Oh, the town of Elsenben is up here. Probably up around here. Magdeburg. It's up over this way, probably over there. Dark Magic has disappeared a little bit. It's 10,000 feet. We have Fred to run the descent checklist.
26 inches, please. Setting 26 inches.
Power's coming back. That'll help us start to slow down.
26 inches set. Descent checklist, please. Altimeters and flight instruments cross-checked. Seatbelt signs on. On. Engine blow is low. Low. Descent checks are complete.
I think we're just going to watch it all the way down to 3,000 feet. And then in 17.7 miles, we are going to make the turn to 130 degrees. Which should set us up for the intercept for the ILS. And eventually you'll see the nav 2 kick in as it picks up the ILS signal, and you will see the ADF kick in when it picks up the beacon.
Flight attendants will be passing through the cabin to collect any trash one final time. Please ensure the table and
See the speeds coming down.
upright. Please also store any
Alright.
items, either the
So we'll go into gyro pilot mode. And we're going to tune in the ADF, or the ILS, 110.3. So after we're done with the Magdeburg VOR, we can tune in the ILS, and we'll be heading towards that. On this side, we're going to tune in the Leipzig VOR, which is 115.85, and then we can use that as just a range to the airport type of deal on VOR 2. So that is now all set up. Just do a double check on my ILS frequency. 110.3 is right. So we're coming up for 7,000 feet. And the cabin should be still depressurizing. Nice and slow, so by the time we get down to the ground, it should be back to or ground altitude. Oh, a little bit of a wind shift there. Speed is slowly coming back. See, our window temperature is above 10 degrees now, so we can go up and turn this back to off, since we're above 10 degrees, and it's just going to get a little bit warmer as we get lower. Ice is all cleared, which is good, and that means we don't have to worry about de-icing either, since the temperature is up. Pull this up just so it's handy. And And we're 4 miles out. And we have 3,000 feet to go. Speed is slowing. I'm going to start our turn to 130 now. Keep an eye on our heading and our altitude. It's 120. Just flew by the beacon. And 130 is set, and we have 2,000 feet to go. That's the Elbe River, very famous river in eastern Germany. We got one guy over there flying a DC-6. Seem to have lost everybody else at the moment. And hopefully, was it August 24th is the SimWorld update? Christian, you must be looking forward to that, being the, what is it, Germany, Austria, Switzerland? Are they the 3 countries that are updating? Alright, so 700 feet to go. See, the ILS is coming in now, so if we turn over to nav2, we are 35 miles from the airport. 500 feet to go. Start easing off our descent. Should be good. I mean, doing some GA flights around Bavaria would be pretty awesome. Beautiful part of Germany. Loved my time there. Definitely want to go back there. So there we go. There's 3,000 feet. Altitude hold on. We'll bounce around a bit probably. And the speed's starting to come down. So, in-range checks now that we've leveled off.
Cooling turbine. Normal. Fuel booster pumps. On low. Fuel tank selectors. Mains on, crossfeed off. Hydraulic bypass valve. Down. No smoking signs. On. In-range checks complete.
So we're now showing we're 28.4 miles from the Leipzig VOR, which is just to the east of the airport. I've switched over to the ILS frequency. We're not picking it up yet, as the VR1 needle has gone flat, but it is giving us a direction and a distance to basically the airport. And we should soon also see the ADF needle pop in as well. Speed's coming down. We're down under 190. so that is good. Yeah, still got no one around. Some dark clouds. Airport's off over this way. That is a pretty cool name, Travel Beer. Oh, and we just picked up the ILS. So it is now able to read it. Alright, it's getting dark out. And we're still brushing the bottom of the clouds. We're not doing too bad. In-range checks are done. It's getting ready for when I take over the throttles. And speed's coming back. We're down to 180. We're going to leave her where she is at the moment, and when we get up to these lakes we're going to start in with the flaps and continue to slow down our approach. So we were pretty accurate on our descent. I guess if we were in more mountainous terrain we had to be more careful. We'd be cutting it a little bit tighter. We wouldn't start our descent until we were closer in. So we weren't just cranking along here at low altitude. How are we doing for fuel? Fuel quantities are all good. 20 miles out from the airport. Hope you guys are all doing good out there. I'm not seeing anyone. Oh, I got you two guys back there. The DC-6s. Doc, I don't see you anywhere. Hope you're still with us. Christian, I don't want them to make the Alps better in secret. I want them to make them better so everyone can see them. It's some really interesting, I'm not sure, no, it's showing up on the stream. Some weird lighting glitches here. This is similar to what I was seeing with the landing lights and stuff on the A320s a little while ago. Yeah, it seems like a Sim Update 5 issue. If I go in... Yeah, it's definitely a lighting issue. I turn the lights off and you don't see it anymore. Interesting. Yeah, Nick, I just addressed that. It's a lighting glitch. It's not the textures. It's the lighting. For some reason, it seems that the lighting, you know, you get the shadowing effect and all that, is a major issue in the sim. Anyway, we're down to about 177, so we're going to go first notch of flaps. We'll run without the lights because that was getting aggravating. And we're going down to flaps 20. Speed's coming down. Again, I hope it's something that they're going to resolve. I wish Dark was here and he could let us know if these lighting glitches have been reported. Alright, speed's down to 160. So we'll get over the town ahead of us here, which is Bad Duben. It's a guesstimate on how it's pronounced. I'm going to turn south. And then we should get in a good position to do an intercept on the ILS. Airport is now off over in this direction here. Speed's coming down. Start our turn to the south. Yeah, I had that issue as well. It's really bad. And just to confirm our landing speeds, we're down about the 80s. We're going to be 131 and 101. All right. So there's our southward heading, and we'll do our before landing checklist.
Setting flaps 20. 20 flaps set. Mixtures rich, please. Auto rich. Mixtures set. Gear up and down, please. Gear up and down.
There's the gear. Down
Gear down
3
and up,
green.
3 greens. Props. 2400 RPM. 2400 RPM set.
Speed's
Cal
coming
flaps
down.
Plus 3 degrees. Cal flaps set. ADI. ADI off. ADI is off. Landing lights. Speed good. Extending lights.
7.5 miles out from the airport. Speed's down to 130.
Commit call. Set call. Before landing checks complete.
Landing checks are done. We're going to hold about 130. Six miles out. See the ADF is now pointing off towards the beacon there. Alright, so we're going to turn slightly more just to shallow the intercept rate. So there's 200 degrees. A little bit of cloud we're running into. Switch this over to there. It's fine. There's no readout on that one. We're 4 miles out from the Leipzig VOR, which that needle is pointing to. And then the ILS is off in that direction. As soon as I see movement on the glide slope needle, we're going to go into approach mode. Or not the glide slope needle, the localizer needle. Speed is coming down a little too much. A little bit more throttle. It's 125. Yeah, it looks like we might get some rain as we come in. Gonna leave those lights off because, again, they're annoying. Alright, we're 2 miles out. Gonna go to approach mode. And we're gonna start our turn in for the intercept. We're going to leave altitude hold on. There's the airport. So we got the localizer coming in. Just watching our airspeed. And our checks are done. So we have the airport in sight. The runway in sight. Glide slope's coming down, localizer's coming in. Using the Metar on the A320, I've never had it crash the desktop after doing that. Is that that's a new one, I take it. Glide slope's almost in, so we're going to turn off altitude hold. And we are lining up nicely. Look at that. So we passed the Leipzig VOR, which is actually up by runway 26, which is why it's showing us going by it that way. There's Scott ahead of us. And we have intercepted the glide slope. So, flaps 30. Flaps 40. I'm going to hold flaps 40 all the way down to 500 feet. Airport elevation again is 470, so basically 1,000 feet. We'll go to flaps 50. Watching the airspeed. Don't want it to get too slow. Bit of a crosswind, but not too bad. 1,000 feet to go. Full flaps. There's that lighting glitch from the landing lights. It's a shame. I better figure that out. 3.5 miles out. 1,500 feet to go. Speed's down to 125. Okay, 1,000 feet to go. I'm gonna pull the power. Back to about 100. Let the speed slowly start coming down. 120. We want to be down to about 100 when we cross the threshold. Throttle's back to 90. 80. 70. It's 110. Flaps 50. There's 100. And there is 500 feet. Autopilot's off. A little high. Ease the nose down. Watching the speed. Middle marker. A little low, but the threshold's right at the end of the runway, so that's fine. With a slight crosswind. About 50 feet. And we're down. A little bit of a bounce. Plant the nose, reverser's on. And there's 40 knots. Throttle's back. Reverser's off. And we're going to get off at Sierra or Hotel 5. We're not going over to the DHL cargo area.
And it's currently about 30 degrees Celsius. You can now use your mobile device. Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Remember to use caution when opening the overhead bins, as items may have been shifted during the flight. If this is your final destination, we thank you for flying with us. If you're making a connection, we encourage you to check your itinerary to ensure a smooth continuation of your journey.
There we go. And oh, I see Scott's airplane there. And we are off. Let's do the after landing. Well, Fred's gonna do it. And we're gonna head over to Terminal Alpha.
After landing checks complete.
Very nice. So Christian's on his way down. I didn't get any rain. Good. Strobing lights. Yeah, it took me a while to get the graphics the way I wanted them, Nick, but looks good. And this is a downloaded airport from flightsim.to. We can take a look at it. It's a huge DHL cargo facility over there. And here's the passenger terminals. again with graphics glitches and lighting glitches. Yeah, that's okay, Scott. Better to get it right than just crash it. We'll wait for you here. So we're going to go in here on these stands here. I'm going to take 137. Plenty of room for the rest of the guys here. There we go. Parking brake is on, and Fred, you can shut us down.
Parking brake is set. Cut entrance.
All right. Thanks, Pilot Pat. Appreciate that. Just waiting for them to do all the stuff here. There we go. Get rid of that.
Complete. A-plane secured.
Ground power units on. Wheel chocks are on. Cargo holds are opening. And we'll get everything open in the back. Get our door open and the stairs. And there we go. Oh, looks like Christian's airplane switched from PMDG over to us, and he's dragging his air stairs and his ground battery or GPU unit. Interesting. And yeah, we can see you there, Scott, coming in. Very good. So we'll sit here and watch Scott land, but for everybody else, thank you very much for joining us. To Christian, Scott, Dr. Magic, thanks for joining us on the flight today, and everybody else who's popped in and watched. Thank you very much as well. Our next live stream is in 2 days on Wednesday. It is the penultimate leg of our tour across Britain. We are leaving Wick and we are heading off to the islands to the north, the Shetlands and the Orkneys. So we will see you then for our next live stream. Until then, take care. Bye for now.